Howard Schulman, what is going on in this world of marketing? I feel like there's so much snake oil going on out there. What's the latest thing that you're being sold?
Well, you're going straight into questions. That's like a real hard cold open.
You
It's
know
like the
what?
coldest you can get with a cold open, straight into a
I'm
question.
I'm getting so much new spam on so many. There's always generations of these things. It was, there was a generation of, review sites, and then PPC and LinkedIn ads, and I feel like HubSpot and the content engine is one, but there's so many new motions, and now that we've got this buzzword AI, we can link everything to AI. It's just enabled so many new sales techs that are coming at me. What are you
There's
seeing?
like, yeah, like there's thousands of iterations already. Like I'm hit up every day with another kind of, they say like this like AI layer. Someone took an LLM like a chat GPT and they plugged in the APIs and they built their own little software on it, using all these AI tools to build software. It's like AI building on AI, selling AI software to marketers. But we're a good persona for sellers. We're suckers for these things. It's like we're dying for leads and we're dying for pipeline, and it's we always at least I'll speak for myself. We're always trying to prove something that the marketing has such strong impact and direct line of sight to revenue creation. That's what we're up against. That's what we're always especially in demand generation. It's always about, if I give you $100, can you produce $500 in pipeline, right? So
I know.
AI is again another tool that many people are selling, whether they're snake oil salesmen or they're doing anything real. Listen, you mentioned attribution, you mentioned the review sites. They all had their moments. Um, you know, we've tried some of these things at our previous roles, and so we know what works, we know what doesn't. Um, that's just how I feel about it. It's just, but we always have to be this mindset of constant experimentation,
So I'm
right?
big in favor. How are you? Let's think about of all the new ideas that are coming your way. What's your thought process about how to evaluate them? Some of them come in with zero price tag, and so you can play with them immediately. We'll think the ChatGPT, the Gammas of the world. Some come in at tens of thousands of dollars with huge value propositions. How do you filter through when things come at you?
Well, it starts with our strategy internally. Does it even fit with what we want to do right now with our persona? Are they receptive to this tactic? Like I said before, like we want to do experimentation, right? So me, like when I see these things, I want to do it, right? I got to talk about that before. We're marketers. We want to experiment. We want to try the latest and greatest to stay ahead. Whether it's real or not, we need to evaluate it. Like you're right. Like I said, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of new tools that have joined an already crowded ecosystem of 10 to 20,000 marketing and sales tools that already exist. Um, so how do I evaluate it? One, does it fit within our strategy? Two, is it of interest even to learn about, or is it something that I know? And then, three, if it already passes those first two, then does the company seem reputable? Because that's another component. We address enterprise customers, and data security and privacy is very important to us. So it's got to fit within that framework as well. Um, but like I think I said before, like a lot of these things are AI layers built by AI tool that someone is trying to sell you for like $50 a month.
Mhm.
With a little bit of peeling away the onion, you can quickly discover that it's not really agentic AI. It's really a workflow on Zapier that they built with a couple of APIs. And so, recently I came across stuff like that. Anytime I see, I'm sure you've seen these millions of posts on LinkedIn, like I have this new playbook of how to generate, hundreds of leads and 30 meetings a week kind of thing. One, do I want 30 meetings a week? Does my sales team even have a capacity to handle 30 meetings a week? We'd all love that to happen, but is it a reality? And then just, peeling back that onion and seeing what really makes sense as far
Yeah,
as.
I think that there's something of curiosity versus solving a real problem. I have seen so many things that are
That's a
interesting.
good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Curiosity versus solving a problem. Like, do
I
we
know my
really have
problems.
a lead
I know
gen
my
problem?
problems already. I mean, I
Yeah.
know my problems, and I would anything that's a glimmer of hope is interesting. So I start experimenting with it. But most of the things that I'm inundated with, I really put in the curiosity. I'm like, okay, is there an easy way for me to play with them? One of the greatest things that I just had my intuition. It was like this: can an AI bot make the calls? Like I've been hearing about this for 10 years about, oh, we can do
I
voice.
remember we tried it, right? We actually investigated that a couple of years ago, even before AI went mainstream, right? You kind of have to know about these things to stay ahead. But yeah, you're right. It's funny to think that we've been exploring this possibility for a while.
It's so funny when you think about the prank calls that you get, or the don't hang up when you get that to your house, and how that's evolved into a reframe, and how just today, the TechCrunch stories of how Anderson Horowitz and 11x, of how they had the
Yeah,
AI.
yeah.
Well, like you can see that, intuitively, I wouldn't take a call like that. I wouldn't do that. And so I think that we keep a lot of these ideas like, oh, that's the next generation of the metaverse. I'm like, what? Real estate in the metaverse? We get so many of these ideas. I never had a problem with real estate that I needed my avatars to have a home. So that's like
Oh,
the first thing.
yeah,
Okay.
that
So when I
was
went
funny.
to the
That was a funny
sale, like,
moment.
yeah, I mean, the NFT, like, I think that we've seen so many. I also think, though, that it's fun to have everyone I work with has to have that curiosity. Like, I love the fact that we're not gonna like we'll try it out. We'll see what's happening, and we'll give
I
her
think
a
that's a
spin.
yeah, that's a key attribute of, we talk about a lot in hiring and team members. I think having the curiosity is one of those key traits to have. But yeah.
I agree with that. But then you go back to like this: how do you not get lost? How do you keep the strategic vector of what am I working on? And I've seen so many of these things recently, which are not what I'm working on. And so,
So, but the
yeah,
barrier to entry is very low, right? It's like you said, some of these things are free. It's really easy to get something spooled up and give it a try, and at least just to feel what it's like. Going back to the AI speaking, but we also looked at video AI and creating deep fakes, and how do we do video at scale for our team and our demand generation for that. We saw some pretty janky stuff 3 years ago, but I'm experimenting with video stuff now just to see what that's like. There's a promise here. You want to stay ahead, especially in marketing operations and demand generation. You still want to know what's available to you as part of that arsenal, because you never know when that next round is going to drop, or new market's going to open, or the product that you're trying to sell pivots. You need to be able to be ready to execute strategy, right? It comes down to the strategy first, and then what you can use to execute that strategy, right?
so I like what you're saying there about always being on top of it. And as a marketer, you actually want to think, oh, that's taking off, whether it's substantiated or not. How do I integrate that into my own storyline? So I think that not just to be aware, but also as an integration point for us. But maybe just what
Well, let's
is
separate the hype, right? There's still hype around a lot of these things, and you need, like you said, stay focused. Be curious, but stay focused, right? You don't want to have 2-3 days wasted trying to build something that was just fun to do. But yeah, but the good news is it doesn't take 2-3 days. The truth is, I've been doing some fun stuff in like an hour or 2 hours just to say, hey, okay, this was possible. This is something we can do and scale.
what's a skunkworks project or an AI tool that you think really has been a boost to your execution, your team's execution? This like what has really been something that, geez, in the last 6 months, this has become my new go-to.
So content writing first and foremost, being able to train. We work with Gabby, and so me and Gabby we both like our tools. I think she prefers Claude. I use ChatGPT. She also uses ChatGPT, but there's Perplexity and now Deep Research on ChatGPT as well from OpenAI. But creating the content using that as our co-pilot that's been the main thing because we have a smaller team these days. But so how do we maintain the output that we need as far as whether we're creating, brochures, PowerPoints, blogs, white papers, even
Yeah,
social media messages, the stuff that used to take, not talking like loads of time, but even something that took a half hour to an hour is really like 15 minutes, just to get those quick brainstorm and everything into those tools. I would say spend the time training those tools, like buy the paid version, get the professional version of these tools, and create those libraries that you can always reference and building on because it gets smarter and smarter over time.
I think
And it
that
gets
that's
better and better at producing. I remember when we started producing the content when ChatGPT blew up, it was like, okay, still have to spend a lot of time editing and refining. And now, over a year and a half later, wow, okay, it has the voice, it has what we want to say, it's structuring it well, it's got all the proper way that we want to produce our content, and so the editing time becomes less and less, but it still needs a human touch. So what's like a skunk work, being able to create that content, then like what's that scaling, I want to be able to pump that into social media messages, then pump this a script into a video generator with a deep fake of someone being able to say that, and then having that all be a streamlined workflow where it's just you hit publish and it just goes out. There's tools that are doing that, by the way. There's
sure.
different things out there that go like, hey, there's tools, but you can also, depending on what you want to achieve, you can build it yourself. Again, not everything is agentic. It's really workflows and just connecting the dots.
I have to say that what's used to be a brief, when you would write a brief for content
Yeah,
particularly, and then the explaining of the brief and the brief meeting, like that one area has gone so has accelerated so quickly in terms of on brief content generation has been a godsend. The back and forth, there's no headaches, there's no arguments, and typically I would have to do the polishing anyway. So that has been the real value in terms of I can argue with, I have a good sparring partner with regards to brief and what I want, and I've had enough of a learning curve as to what's working. And then I actually get great results. By the time I've briefed it, it's back to me. It's incredible. And then I save all the back and forth in terms of, oh, wrong tone. It can be just addressed so quickly. That has been really the highest value. Are you seeing that?
So fun prompt to just a little bit on that. Fun prompt within the mix of creating this content is to actually put in and say for it to be contrarian, right? Come up with an opposing view, and then say, okay, now challenge that opposing view, right? So that's how you get it to dig. There's all different ways to get it to dig a little bit deeper. But you ever heard the term vibe coding? This is the idea of developers, just sitting, just writing out prompts, or like I said, they come up with a solid, they use an AI to help come up with a good prompt, and then they take that prompt and put it in their AI coding tools, and then they're able to, using a chatting interface, type in what they want as they're feeling the vibes. So it's kind of like vibe marketing or vibe creation, vibe content marketing, vibe demand gen. It's kind of like where it's gone. Like, you're right. The briefing used to be a big task at hand. Just being able to come with it, still important, but we have the Copilot as the AI as a Copilot kind of makes that smoother.
As a result, I've seen how content creators have had to either go multimedia or they've had to go deeper in funnel, and that's towards product marketing. And I think that that's where there's a lot more specialized knowledge that's not just from web. It's actually based on internal or customer interactions. And I think that just not to say there's no hope for a content writer, but to understand that the bar has been raised. And
I know what that comes down to. That comes down to trust and reality, right? People know that there's these AI tools out there. Again, it depends on your persona and their familiarity with this stuff. But when you get a tool that can write a blog, then someone goes, okay, this is or a social message. Yeah, okay, this is AI. The product is real, right? Customer information and feedback and how you present your actual product is a little bit more real than the surface layer, top of funnel type of information.
I want to say that the holy grail here has been that many of the tasks we had either employees or we offshored to do some of these activities. And so I'm seeing that some of these things, as like content generation, basic content generation, or basic design, basic videos, are things that I don't have to wait. I don't have to go on Fiverr and find my Upwork or do even a freelance or a recruit. So I'm really excited about the empowerment. They're talking a lot about this, of the entrepreneur, the empowerment of the entrepreneur to go much further.
Yeah.
That said, find me a website that was made completely of high quality, that was made completely by prompting. I think that you're going to see endless things that get you maybe to 80%, but you spend so much time in it. That's the same on the basic content we can talk about, but the same on image generation. I think that it's only to a generic basic level. Are there other areas that you're saying, wow, I've really taken it as is? Are you using it for image or video creation that you say, it's really delivering just like my content? When I get good at prompting, I can get great imagery, videos, experiences. Have you seen it elsewhere?
When you say great, it's like, yeah, is it ever 100%? No, like you said, this gets you, some things get you to 80%. But yeah, there are tools out there that are producing some nice results. And yeah, I want to keep going back to it. It's like, what do you want to achieve? Is that kind of content? Does that resonate with your persona? Do they care about that? What is the right, what's the right channel? What's the right content? Yeah. That's probably still most important than any one particular, is it the best AI generating tool? Is your persona using chat AI themselves? We were at a great discussion last week about AI and SEO, and I think someone pointed out that while we're marketers, we're obsessed with this stuff. We probably hear about it more than many people, but there are still a low percentage of people that are actually still using AI for search, for work, for things like that, right? We in the SaaS world might be at the forefront of this, but I can imagine that someone in a traditional, more traditional work environment might not be using it. Again, it could be locked down by security. Security might not allow it. They're in an enterprise like an insurance company or a bank, or they have to use some specialized version of it. They have a different experience, right? I thought that was really interesting, that we're so excited about this AI stuff and what we can do. And the products that we sell might have AI on it, and we need to get our personas excited about it, right, as well. But they don't live and breathe it the same way that we might be exposed to.
Just on that topic, I see that here you have the purveyors of SEO or GEO or CEO, whatever their acronym, whatever they're branding that as the next frontier is, get ready. I feel like insiders need to make a product offering and are selling that as the next product offering. And it's in most instances, it's far ahead of the curve. Like many of us are, okay, as a marketer, we're thinking, I got to know what's going on here. I have to know what's this trend. But it really isn't relevant for many of our personas. They're just not there. Some of them are not online. Some of them are forbidden to be online. Some of them we sell, products to people who are out in the fields and so on and so forth. It's really not everyone is like us is probably the rule. And then to go back to it is, how do they get information? Some of these people meet face to face, and that's
face to face. Yeah, I think we're going to see conferences come back stronger than we've seen. I also think it comes down to trust. People will start feeling like there might be, especially when they're looking to make a purchase that's 6 or 7 digits for their enterprise org. Their best way to reach them is probably still in person. You got to have a long, strong relationship with them and not be that persona AI material only, or digital only. So that's why I think in person is a trust factor, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Human interaction.
I
It's
agree
going
with
to
that. I
increase.
think though that for this one moment in time, I don't know where it's going to evolve. That people say, "Oh, the ChatGPT is somewhat of a Wikipedia of sorts." It is the best of. It's not ads. It's not sponsored. I think that people still have that trust. We haven't seen the commercial layer creep in, so we don't know how to trust it. So for whoever's there, we think that that may be the holy grail of what is organic. We may be seeing that, and I'm not sure if that's true amongst our users, but they do use it somewhat as a research tool in many industries. It's a research tool, unlike in Google where they see the ads and the endless ads, so they see that there's a commercialization. Still, in akin to Wikipedia, this, I think it has that perception, and people are thinking, oh, if that's fact, if that's, I want to be part of the fact. How do I get a Wikipedia writer? How can I get my answer up on ChatGPT or Claude or what have you? I think that that's why it's so important for us to spread the gospel, spread the truth on these. But I think it's a very narrow group who's using it.
It's a very narrow group right now, and besides for checking ourselves if our company or respective companies come up on these things and kind of like feeding your version of ChatGPT and the training and everything that you've done on it is slightly different than mine. If we might be it's a people pleaser, right? They want to present the results that it thinks that you want to see. Again, like kind of Wikipedia, but is it really like truth or 100%? And again, on Google, people know you're not getting like the truth, but there are people fighting for rankings and their ads. People better understand that than really what's behind ChatGPT. I personally will be do research on ChatGPT, but who are the companies that I take meetings with, or that I really take a deeper dive? It's what I see on LinkedIn as recommendations from trusted people and trusted sources, or the WhatsApp groups or something where you might have a problem and someone says I'm having a good experience with this software, and then that's what I would check out over typing into ChatGPT. Give me 5 recommendations for XYZ. That's my feeling on it.
Have you ever clicked from ChatGPT to the source link? Have you ever done that?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's going just like you would check from Google, unless you're typing in basic information into like math or geography questions or things like that. You kind of want to take a deeper dive. You got to do your due diligence as a professional, right?
Sure. I mean, overall, I think that we're seeing this trend, and we certainly have to answer to it. Are we using it as a tool in-house? Yes. Are we there because of the trend? And then we ask, okay, how to substantiate? Are we there? It actually could be interesting brag points. It's really fun when you're successful. And I have a business that's very successful on ChatGPT, which amounts to 0.
Yeah, exactly. You said it right. Like brag points. Like what value does brag points get you? And it was with anything. What did it get marketers with, intent data? What did it get with top of the review sites? What did it get with attribution softwares?
Oh my gosh,
there's so many different areas. I know there's so much to talk about.
Howard, you just spent $100,000 for us. Intent data, Capterras, the G2s. I mean, the budget is broke.
They work in categories and what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to sell, right? I think some businesses and some marketers, we know their full inbound funnel relies on some of these channels. Which is to say, every business is unique, and every software and every persona you need to try to reach in a different way. And how do you cut through the noise? I think only through experimentation and trying.
So I think that's fair. So a couple of things just I'm thinking about. One is, what are you trying to solve as the marketer? What is the job to get done? There's a great framework of what do you need to get done. And when you get inundated with all these ideas and innovations, it doesn't really play under that category or a different category of, oh, that's cool, well, that's cool. And so there's time for that's cool, let's play with that. And then when you're under the job to get done category, then we have to understand that that's what I'm trying to get done. But do these tools actually do that? There's so much, and I can't believe on such a topical day, the 11x stories coming through, endless meetings on AI, SEO, ChatGPT, and it just so many waves of people who are pushing these agendas that I think it's
Yeah.
fair to be truthful to what you think as a human touch. Do our humans that we're trying to build a relationship, do they really engage? Would they pick up the phone for a automated call? Would they really engage like that? Does that make sense? Do they really use a computer and search ChatGPT for that type of query, or is that not really who we're talking to?
I think companies just need to try it, right? And again, is it something that you have budget for? Do you have the scale, right? Like, do you need to reach 10,000 people? Then how do you reach 10,000 people if you're in your TAM? How fast do you want to get through your ICP? And there are tools that help with that, right? These are tools and tactics, but not strategy. And so you got to, I said before, you gotta understand what the company wants to achieve. Yeah, all this stuff is cool. Like Clay, we're mentioning a whole bunch of companies here. Clay, again, popped in, experimented a little bit, saw what it's about. It can be used for a small list or it can be used for a massive list. But what can your team do? What do they have time for? What do you need to achieve before you say, okay, let's pull the trigger on spending money on these things?
Mm-hmm.
I think all these tools, they recognize that as well. I think we've seen a change in pricing. At least I've seen a change in pricing to, it's less about seats because, companies are a little bit smaller these days when it comes to these things. It's more about credits, right? How much do you use of this? Yeah. Right. So if you need to reach 10,000 people, then you're going to spend more credits. If you don't need to, then you won't, right? I think that's fair.
Howard, here we are. Just generally, we meet for
we're just chatting, right?
Or a walk, or we take the dogs out. Is this something that you think that we're going to do again? Are we going to be able to spar about what's on your mind?
I would like to bring on guests, right? Friends of ours and fellow marketers, and we're both part of different forums, whether it's GCMO or Pavilion, and we can get different people into these conversations.
So we don't have a name. We're just called it Shooting the Shit, right?
We're just chatting. So this was just like, hey, we do talk a lot about this stuff. Why don't we record it? And we do have like our own hot takes. And we don't have to be interviewing each other, right? We should be asking others. We're not the experts. We should be asking experts. Like, I'd love to hear from someone who used intent data and was like, wow, I know it gets a lot of heat these days and a lot of people call it snake oil, but yeah, we used XYZ for intent and we had a process and a program around it and it actually produced results. So right? We're gonna press. I'd like to press that person a bit. Like, was it the intent data or was it just the programmatic
outreach? The focus. Yeah. We have so much to talk. So I think that as we set the agenda, what we should probably do is, firstly, you don't discredit your experience. You've spent and wasted millions of dollars, so you should be proud of all the money you flushed down the toilet. But you've also built it, tens of millions
with
of dollars.
With your help.
So I think that, don't discredit that. The fact that you have an opinion on that we should probably, set out to find people who have had different experiences and bring them, and then we can argue the case as to when it worked, because for me it worked, or for you it didn't work. So I think that would be the agenda of some of these things are too many head nods. Like I would love to find someone who's using AI SDRs to a great extent.
I think we just talked about it. It's too early, right? Like I would say it'd be hard to tell to really say, is it working, right? Have companies completed their entire enterprise sales cycle on being able to prove out that this budget and this effort in building out this AI program resulted in something? Maybe I'd love to find someone. That's what I'm saying. Let's talk about LinkedIn ads. Let's talk about Google. Let's talk about SEO. Let's talk about attribution.
Oh yes.
All these lovely marketing topics. Email is dead. Content is dead. Right? All these. Is it dead? Is it back to life?
We're already on season 3 with all the topics you've mentioned here. So, all right, we better get. We got the trailer out. Great fun, and we certainly.
Let's hear from the comments, right? Let people put in the comments what they want to talk about, and let's get some hand raisers, right? Let's do our own lead generation. Leave a comment, and then we'll know if you want to talk through this stuff really in a transparent, open, real talk.
I like that. I really like that. And we could also use that for brainstorming of what is this thing that we've just put together? Like, what is the name of this?
Yeah, right. We'll take some suggestions.
All right, Howard, great to see you here. Hopefully we'll see you, making money on the streets, and, whatever it is, we'll see you at the coffee shops or walking the dogs, but nice to
All
see
right.
you here.
Nice to see you too.